Hi, Lee, I love Murlo. Today we're starting a first video of a journey that we are going to take, going from a raw fleece and all the steps that we're going to take along the way to get to the final product. I am not an expert in this. I am still learning very much myself, but thought what a great way if somebody is a beginner or just has an interest in how their product came about, that they could come along with me. Maybe we can learn some stuff together. I'm sure we'll have some successes. There's bound to be some blunders and possibly some happy accidents along the way. But I hope you enjoy the trips we're going to take together with this. The fleece in front of us is a Rambouillet Fleece that I got from a local shepherd. I would recommend, whenever possible, please support your local producers. If you search, you will probably find that there are sheep farmers in your area. You can probably find what a listing of the breeds that they carry, contact information. Call them, reach out to them, see if they're willing to sell you a fleece. Sometimes they'll sell half a fleece or they'll sell it by the pound. But it's a great way to learn, and they usually have an abundance of information in regards to their fleece and recommendations based on what it is that you're wanting to do, which fleece you should be buying. So wherever possible, do reach out to them. This fleece here is a very fine fleece. A Rambouillet is considered to be one of the largest fine wool breeds. So really what that means is if you look at a staple, that it's very, very, very fine. You can see the tiny little hairs there. And what they mean by fine is they often refer to a micron count. So with micron, the lower the number, the finer the fiber. If you think about the human hair, they say is typically 100 microns. And Angora is going to be one of your lower micron counts. This one was tested and it came through as 20, so it would be next to skin soft. Anything over 30 is usually when people complain that wool is scratchy and they don't wear it. So 20 would be no problem next to skin. Just some information as far as a Rambouillet fleece. The Rambouillet Fleece is actually the French version of the Merino, and it has been around since about 1786. There's actually an interesting history on them. They're considered the largest fine wool breed. The Ram can be 200 to 300 pounds and the ewe 140 to 180 pounds. Typically 8 to 12 pounds, I think, would be the norm as far as how much fleece. The one I have, that this is a piece of, measured at 9.92 pounds. Now keep in mind, when you're buying a fleece, of course you're buying it by the pound, and the finer the staple or the micron count, typically the more grease it has. So like here where you actually see the grease, you're going to use really hot water to eliminate that. So of course, by the time you get the grease out of here and the vegetable matter out of here, you could lose 40% of the weight. So that's why you want to look at the entire fleece. You want to check it to see, especially if you're paying a premium price per pound, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to use as much as possible, because you don't want to pay for something that's going to go in the garbage bin. When you're buying a fleece, there's several things that you're going to be looking for. One of the things is vegetable matter. So of course they're outside, and if they're not coated, they're going to have some of their bedding in there and some of their lunch in there. So you'll find pieces of barley and straw, and the odd time you're going to find some poo, and I mean, of course, dirt. Again, there's nothing wrong with buying one that's got vegetable matter in it. A lot of times you're going to find ones where the shepherd doesn't coat them, so there's going to be more in it. But just take a look. Is there too much that you're going to get tired of cleaning it out? You're paying by the pound, so if you're going to end up throwing half of it away because it's too dirty to deal with, don't buy it. Buy the ones that you think, I can handle that amount of vegetable matter and get that out, and it's not going to bother me. The other thing to look at is the crimp. So I don't know if we can get this to show up here. So you can see the crimp is very, very, very fine on this one. So crimp is going to create the elasticity or the memory of the fiber. So good for a sweater. Socks, you want something with good memory in those. Something like alpaca isn't going to have the same amount of crimp, so it will drape more. So great for a shawl, but maybe not so good for socks. So crimp would be something you're going to look at. You're also going to look at the strength of it. So when we talk strength, you're pulling on it. I don't know if you can hear that. If you hear that ping, it's a sound fleece. If you hear cracking or tearing, it's not a good fleece. It won't stand up to the processing that you're going to be putting this through. Sometimes tips will come off, and it can be often the lamb's first haircut. Their tips are going to come off because they're just a little bit weaker, and sometimes weather. But in processing, sometimes you're able to just snap those tips off. One of the other things you're going to look at is you're going to look at the color of it. You're looking at, so this is yellow in here. That I know is lanolin, and when I wash that in hot water, that's likely going to come out or be so minimal that you won't notice. If it's a bright yellow, it could be what they call canary stain, and that doesn't wash off. So I guess if you wanted to dye it bright yellow, you're fine. If you see any blue or green or orange or pink, chances are it's fleece rot. Walk away, don't buy that one. Now with this fleece, I want to keep the locks in formation. So I want to keep them like this throughout the washing stage. So because of that, I can't just grab a bunch of this and throw it in the wash water. So when you're looking at a fleece, you set it up so all the tips are up, and you can see that in a lot of cases it wants to fall apart in certain places. It's almost like pages of a book, and that makes it easy for you to just go in there and you pull out the lock. So once I have the locks pulled off, I put them into a bucket. It just makes it easier. So I put all the tips in one direction, and then from there I put them in the mesh bags for washing. So here we see a mesh bag that I'm putting the locks into. So what I do is I put them in so that the tips are to the outside of the bag. The butt end, where it was cut off of the sheep, goes down the center. When I get that done, the finished one here. So this one, all the tips are to the outside of the bag, the butt ends are in the middle, and then I've run a zip tie right through the middle, and that will help keep these from getting all stuck together, and then hopefully we can keep the lock formation for the remainder of the process. Our next video, we will be taking the dirty fleece that we prepared in the mesh bags, washing it in such a way where we can eliminate the dirt and the lanolin but maintain the lock structure. Until then, this is Leila of Murlo. Thank you for watching.